Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 1998's Dark City, which was directed by Alex Proyas. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Erik, and I'm back, and with us is Joe. Joe, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, guys. It's been a while.
I know. It's been a while for both of you guys. I'm so happy that it's 2022 and you guys are both back. Eric's back and Joe's back for the first episode. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, what have you guys been up to? I feel like it's been forever.
Yeah, dude, just holiday season, like coming off the October wheel. I called you and I was like, I need to take a break, dude. I'm about to collapse doing this wheel and work and everything. And 31 podcasts in 31 days took a lot out of me. So I'm like, I'm going to take the holidays off. And now here we are, back at it.
Back at it, yeah.
Getting through the winter.
And Joe, I was trying to think what the last movie was that we covered together.
Yeah, it was around Halloween. We did a few.
We did The Crow, me and you, Joe.
We did The Crow. I think we did Dawn of the Dead, Alec.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay, so that was the last one we did. Yeah, God, that feels like so long ago now.
Yeah.
Well, now we're back. It's a new year. It's the third year of Wheel of Horror, technically, and couldn't think of a better first guest to kick off 2022, Joe. So welcome back.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, and this is a movie that you specifically chose, and I had never seen it, Erik had never seen it, and I'm so glad you told us to watch it, and it's also very timely because of The Matrix Resurrections coming out right now. But, Joe, what's your experience with this? How did you even find this movie?
Well, yeah, like you said, I mentioned this movie when Erik and I did our The Crow episode because it's from the same director. And it's just been on my mind with the new Matrix movie coming out. And it was on my radar when it came out. It came out in 1998, I think. And I remember the trailers saying from the director of The Crow, which, immediately got me interested.
Right.
But I missed it in theaters, and I think most people did because I didn't see it its opening weekend, and I feel like soon after that it was pretty much gone. It kind of came and went, didn't make much money, and I caught up with it on video and liked it, and I think it's developed a little bit of a cult following. It's funny, you just did an episode on Black Christmas, and I feel like that movie had to walk so Halloween could run.
Right.
And I feel like this movie had to walk so the Matrix could run.
Dude, I keep hearing that expression. I love it so much. But you're right. Just right off the bat, first thing that I noticed was when Kiefer Sutherland calls John Murdoch and he's just like, you need to listen to everything I say, and kind of drops the phone. I was just like, what? This is exactly like The Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a few things. But yeah, dude, literally this movie seriously came and went. I don't even know who these actors are. Like Rufus Sewell, I've never seen this guy in anything.
Bro, Rufus Sewell. So I was like, I'm not looking it up, but I just saw him in something. I'm like, what the hell was I watching with him in it? And I was like, don't Google it. It was like one of those things I wanted to figure out with my brain. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, I just watched The Holiday with Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz. I'm like, oh, he's the dick boyfriend guy in The Holiday. But I was like, it was just funny. I was like, what? I'm like, what a coincidence, because I've never seen him in anything else, I don't think.
Yeah, I know him as a villain in a few things. He was in The Man in the High Castle, which yeah, he was a Nazi in that, and he was in the movie called The Illusionist with Edward Norton. I know him as the villain, and I feel like that kind of colors my perception of him because he's the hero in this movie. But something about him, when I see him, I always think bad guy. He just has that kind of look about him.
Yeah, dude.
Definitely cheats on you and doesn't tell you, that guy, in The Holiday.
That movie I'm not familiar with. It sounds great though.
Christmas rom-coms is Erik's bread and butter.
Oh, that's what I do.
Yeah, but the only person I recognized was Kiefer Sutherland, and this was kind of out of character for mostly what I've seen him in. I mean, I usually see him playing a sexy vampire or saving the world from terrorists, not as a kind of a guy with a weird eye and stutter and stuff like that. So it was interesting to see him like that. I thought he was going to be the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really interesting cast, and it's funny, it may be a little off topic, but because this is the director of The Crow, I always think, in some kind of alternate universe, maybe Brandon Lee was the lead in this movie, but that's neither here nor there.
That probably could have happened though. So I had heard, and maybe you know about this, Joe, that I don't know if it was The Crow or The Matrix itself was actually filmed on this set too.
Yeah, it was The Matrix.
It was The
So, yeah,
Matrix.
another Matrix connection. They were both filmed in Australia, and some of the sets from this movie were used in The Matrix, and it was probably almost immediately because The Matrix would come out in '99. So, yeah, there might even have been some overlap. I'm not sure.
Dark
Dude.
City's like, are you gonna pay for some of that? Are you gonna pay for
Yeah.
some of that? Like,
You do gotta wonder if some ideas were swapped or somebody heard something because there are so many similarities, but there's actually a lot of other movies around this time had these similar trippy, kind of Philip K. Dick inspired, ideas, so maybe it was just something in the air.
I heard there's a different movie that is compared to The Matrix that came around the same time too, like Extends or something. Not
Y
Extends, that's
e
the condom or whatever.
Existenz, yes, which
Yeah.
I've never seen. There's a few, I think, like Gattaca and 13th Floor, a bunch of these I've never even seen, but it does seem like these ideas. I don't know if it was, the millennium was coming up, or I get, what it probably was? It was probably the rise of the internet that helped with a lot of these movies being made.
There's a lot of movies that, like, around this time and then, like, soon after, there like, things came in 2s and 3s, like, A Bug's Life and Ants are, like, the same movie. Deep Impact, Armageddon.
That's true, that's true.
What's that movie that came out recently, like, that's, like, No Strings Attached and, like,
Oh,
Oh,
something, like
Friends with Benefits?
same damn movie. Like, it's
yeah.
like, there's all kinds of movies, like, why like, are these, like, Hollywood writers like, "Okay, we're gonna make the same movie twice." It's like putting a chip on red and a chip on black, and, like, we'll see what hits.
Huh, you're kinda right, though.
That's true. Yeah, Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Oh,
Oh, what's
yeah.
the other what's White Earp and Tombstone, that's the
Yep,
other
yep.
one.
When did Vanilla Sky come out? I feel like that was around this time too.
2003?
Yeah, a little later.
Okay, alright. Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of that and also a kind of a little bit of, like, Inception, sort of,
Mhm.
like dreams within dreams and stuff like that.
It reminded me of Hellraiser a little bit too.
Oh,
It had,
yeah.
like, Hellraiser vibes, obviously, but
I think one of the big ones that probably influences all of the ones that we mentioned, and one that me and you spoke about, Alex, is, of course, Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the neo-noir kind of, like, darkness of the city and
Mhm.
yeah, big time, dude, big time. Yeah, because it was, like, planting memories, basically, just like Blade Runner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another I'll probably mention Blade Runner a few times, but another similarity is that there are 2 different cuts of this movie, and I was gonna ask you if you guys know which cut you saw.
so
Mm.
I have no idea which one I saw.
I'm
Gotcha.
fairly certain I saw the theatrical release. I saw it was
Okay.
100 it was an hour and 40 minutes long.
Mm.
Yeah, that was mine.
Okay. The one difference I know, because I haven't seen the theatrical release since I probably rented this movie back in 1998.
Mm.
The one big difference that I know of is it begins with like a voiceover prologue by Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, that's what I saw.
That's what I saw, yep.
Yep. So that's the theatrical cut. And the director's cut doesn't have that. This movie had kind of a troubled production, kind of like Blade Runner, where the studio just didn't have a lot of confidence in it. And that opening voiceover was sort of forced on the director to try and, spell things out for the audience more. Whereas the director's cut, you get that information as you go.
Mm. But yeah, it did kinda spell it out for you very quickly. He's like, "There's aliens, and they're coming, and they use
Mhm.
tuning, and I work with them, so yeah, guys."
Right. And when you watch the director's cut, like, you do get all that information eventually, but, you just have to be patient and let the story unravel. But, like a lot of movies sort of ahead of their time, there wasn't a whole lot of confidence in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
that's when you're, like, not confident in the audience. It's like, these audience is stupid. We gotta, like, walk them through.
Yeah,
Like,
the
exactly.
audience is stupid. I mean, it is not really that confusing if you really just think about it. I mean, there's just a guy who loses his memory because he's the one, basically. He can
Mhm.
tune, which that idea is really cool. Like, there's an alien race that at midnight every night they basically freeze time and then they're able to just implant memories. But that's the one thing maybe I missed it. Why are they doing this?
Yeah, no, I don't think you missed it.
they're finding the soul. They wanna find the soul
But why?
so they can survive, I think, right?
Yeah, that is touched upon a little bit, but I do think there are a lot of questions left unanswered in this movie, which I like. I think
Yeah.
sometimes that could be frustrating, and then sometimes I think it's the right decision, and I like how this movie doesn't really tie up everything in a nice little bow. Again, I feel like this goes back to our Blade Runner discussion, where information isn't really spoon fed to the audience.
Yeah, and I like that. I like it when you have to make up your own mind and stuff like that. Okay, so yes, we don't really ever know why they're doing what they're doing on Earth. But do we ever find out why John Murdoch is the one? We don't ever find out why Neo is the one, really. But do we ever find out why John is?
I don't think so.
No.
Not that I caught. And this isn't one of those movies that I've seen like endless amounts of time,
Right.
like The Matrix or Blade Runner. You know, when I saw it, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. But kind of like when I first saw Blade Runner, it just kind of stuck in my mind. And I'm like, you know what? I need to see that again. But it should be said for people going into this movie thinking it's going to be The Matrix, it has similar ideas, but it's not like an action cyberpunk thriller. You know, it is
No.
kind of a slow burn mystery.
Yeah, it almost it's like a watered down Matrix and Blade Runner, like, kinda mushed together,
Mhm.
because it doesn't have action like Matrix at all. There's no
Right.
cool fighting sort of thing. There's no, like, changing physics to fly and kick stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it does feel more grounded. It does feel a little bit more like Blade Runner in that regard. And then the
Mhm.
fact that the city's dark, just like in Blade Runner, it's raining 24 hours a day. You never see the sun until the end, so you're just like,
Mhm.
"Huh, what the fuck's going on in this world?"
I made 2 predictions going into this movie, like, okay, it's gonna go from Dark City to Light City at some point. And then 2, when you see that, like, little kid stranger thing,
Mhm.
there's, like, that kid one,
Mhm.
I'm like, that kid's gonna be the one that's like, "Come with me, I'll save you. Like, I'm gonna help you out." Like, whenever there's a kid, it's always like, the kid has a soul and, like, helps him out, but that didn't happen. He was a little dick, and he died pretty brutally.
Yeah. No, I like see, as Eric, I wanna watch more movies with you in person, be like, "I know what's gonna happen." And I wanna see if it does. I wanna see if it
I do that. I'm like, "Oh, dude, Dark City more like Light City," at the end of the movie, right?
Hey, I mean, you're batting 500.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
pretty
yeah, I
good.
thought for sure that kid was gonna save the day at some point, but no,
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah.
dick.
I'm kind of glad. I liked him just being some creepy little kid.
Mm.
I love the villains in this. I think they a lot of people compare him to the Cenobites in Hellraiser, and I think that's spot on. I think they were also inspired by Nosferatu, which I could definitely see.
Oh. Yeah, I did think Hellraiser too. You know what I also thought? I'm looking it up right now. I think it's Star Trek Nemesis. I think if you guys have ever seen that, the
Mm,
bad guys from that also yeah, that's what I'm looking at. The guys from Nemesis look exactly like these guys. That came out in
hmm.
2002, so that's older, but
They had switchblades, though. It's like, boring, Matrix has guns. Like, they gotta get something better than the switchblades.
Yeah, I do think if you go into this expecting Matrix style action, you're going to be disappointed. And I think the action scenes probably are the element of this movie that doesn't work quite as well as some other parts of the movie, like the big climax where the hero and the villain are essentially just staring at each other, looking like they have constipation issues.
yeah, yeah.
Is like that's probably not the
A
best.
telekinesis off when
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like,
that I'd probably have preferred some different kind of climax, but by the end of the movie, it's built up so much goodwill that it's totally fine.
It reminds me, Eric, I don't know I mean, I know you've
South
seen this, but
Park.
yeah, South
Yeah.
Park, yeah, where there's like,
Like,
yeah,
they have like a telekinesis off.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically what it says in the description here. It's just like, as they have a psychokinetic fight high above the city.
Yeah,
And it's like, "Oh, it
but
sounds cool." When you see it, you're
right.
just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna
But,
hear
like,
it."
when you see it, it's just, like, deep staring, like,
Yeah. And, I mean, this wasn't like a massive budget movie, and it was still in the 90s. It's not the best CGI you've ever seen, obviously, but,
Yeah.
what really makes me fall in love with this movie is just the art direction and the sets and the film noir aesthetic. I'm such an easy lay when it comes to that stuff. Like
Yeah.
if you put people in fedoras in like smoky nightclubs, like, oh, I'm more than halfway to loving this movie.
Joe, I was thinking of you while I was watching this. I was like, "This kind of looks like a Tim Burton set." Like,
Yeah.
it really reminds me of, like, Batman, just, like, the way they're going through the tunnels and they're on that ball thing or whatever. I don't know. There's a couple moments where I'm like, "I can see why Joe likes this. I know why
Oh
Joe likes
yeah.
this movie."
yeah. If you watch The Crow too, it reminds me of the city of The Crow, like, it's very dark and, like, a lot of, like, building tops and, like,
Mhm.
rooftops scenes, which, I mean, I'm watching this, I'm like, "Man, this must have been hard to make
Yeah.
with all, like, the chimneys moving and stuff," and It's like this is not an easy movie to make back then.
Oh
No.
no, a lot of practical sets and practical effects, and yeah, I think it was you know, a mid-budget movie that I'm pretty sure lost quite a bit of money. So it's too
Dude,
bad.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. I've never seen this. It's like budget was 27,000,000, box office was 27,000,000.2.
There you
See,
go. Point
so
two,
that's
buddy.
yeah, I mean, which I'm sure got used in whatever marketing you know, they used for this movie. So I'm pretty sure this movie's still well, actually, you know, I think it did pretty well on DVD. So hopefully they squeezed a little profit out of it.
Yeah, yeah, because it really all I really kinda hear about is like, "Oh, that movie that's like The Matrix?" It's like, no,
Mhm.
it is different. It definitely is
Mhm.
different. I'm also looking here, I'd recognize the name of the screenwriter. He wrote Blade, David S.
Oh.
Goyer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Goyer has done a ton of things. You know, he was involved in the Dark Knight trilogy
Oh,
and
right.
a lot of stuff. And I think this was an early project for him.
Yeah, because I had seen his name and I was like, "Dude, why do I know that name so well?" Like, it really just it burns in my mind because yeah, he's written so many good movies that I've seen. But yeah,
Mhm.
right, yeah, he's done a lot with, Christopher Nolan. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's too bad that, Alex Proyas didn't move on to a lot of other movies that I mean, he's done a lot of movies, but not a ton that I'm a big fan of. Like, I'm obviously the one-two punch of The Crow and Dark City for me is really tough to beat. I know he did I, Robot with Will
Mm.
Smith, which I saw once, and I don't remember disliking it, but I don't have the, you know, the feelings when I watch these two movies, I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be the next Ridley Scott, but it didn't seem to work out that way.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. I'm looking at his things here. I remember that Knowing movie was like The Numbers or whatever with, Nicolas Cage, and I was like, "That looks fucking"
I actually saw that just because he directed it. Yeah, and
uh.
I don't really remember much about it.
Yeah, holy shit, Gods of Egypt. I remember I was like, "Oh, the dude from Game of Thrones is in this." And then looking at the poster, I was like, "This looks like that Pirates of the Caribbean porn spoof movie." Like, it doesn't even look like a real movie.
That I know was like a notorious flop, and I think that might have really hurt his career.
Damn, yeah, he has dude, that was 2016. He doesn't have any upcoming projects.
Yeah,
Ooh, that
that's too bad.
sucks. Yeah, I guess he's an Australian director, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, the other similarities between this and The Matrix, I just wanna see if you guys, because Eric, I know you're not a huge Matrix guy, right, Eric?
Not really. I
Yeah.
mean, the only thing that's like the Matrix when you think of it, and it's the coolest part of the Matrix is the red pill and the blue pill, which like
Mm,
there's a choice. Either you can live in this world or you can get on the real page. And that kind of big cool idea is missing from this movie. I think it's more of like the implanting, but it's not a choice. It's like I'm gonna give you this, and you're gonna dig it.
seems like the stakes are higher in The Matrix for some reason, because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
but Joe, you're a huge Matrix fan, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what did you think? I mean, the just like the right off the bat comparisons, I don't think there's that many that it could really hurt it the way that people are like, "Oh, it's just like The Matrix."
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there are definitely some similarities, and most of them I think might be just in the look and atmosphere of the movie, you
Mhm.
know? But like I said before, you know, it doesn't have those elements that are going to appeal to a big general audience, you know, the martial arts, the gunfights. I mean, it's this movie I'm not really sure who it's made for, you know? Like I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it and I love it just the way it is, but if I had to market it, you know, even when you look at the posters, it's weird. It's like, is this a horror movie? You know, and it's not. It's more this noir mystery. And you know, in 1998, who are you trying to get to see this movie? Who's the target audience? I think that's where this movie struggled.
Damn, dude, I never even thought of it like that. Because 'cause you're right. Because it's like a 13-year-old would enjoy this, but it's rated R. You know, like, they
Hmm.
can't and I think it probably is kinda made for, like, early
Yeah.
teens who are kind of like, just, "This is cool," but there's
Mhm.
nudity and stuff, and there's really
Yeah, that would have been another issue if I did actually try and get to the theater to see this, would have been just getting in. That was the big issue, for me around this
right.
time, just seeing these movies, you know?
Alright, so this is a really stupid comparison, but do you remember the movie Mystery Men?
I do, I never saw it.
Okay, it was right around the same time, I think it was either 98 or 99, and it kind of reminds me of this. Big sets, just about kind of about superheroes, but didn't really market itself well, and at least that was PG-13, so, like, kids could see it, but, like, you're right, Joe, who the hell is this movie for?
Yeah.
You know? Matrix is clearly, yeah, big action, cool but really cool sci-fi element. this has that cool sci-fi element, but it doesn't have that action to kinda draw in the bigger crowds. You're totally right. Who the hell is this for?
I think we had a similar discussion when we talked about Blade Runner, where you might be getting that Star Wars and Indiana Jones crowd into the theater, but they're probably going to be disappointed because it isn't that adventure that most of them are hoping it's going to be.
Right, but at least that has Harrison Ford to be like, "Whoa, it's him." Like,
Right.
who the hell are like, what
Yeah.
aside
This one
from
this one doesn't even have any movie stars, so
no,
it
I
has
mean
even more working against it.
right, like, right now, Kiefer Sutherland's obviously a big actor, but in 1998, it's like, "Hey, that's that guy from 1969 and in The Lost
Mhm.
Boys." Like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
And then same thing with William Hurt. I thought that was that British guy from Elephant Man,
John Hurt.
John Hurt. So I was like, "Where the hell is that guy?" And I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah, and Jennifer Connelly would go on to a lot of things. She would win
Right.
an Oscar, but at this point, she was probably the little girl from Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it works really well for this movie and the time period. I mean, this movie isn't really set in a time period, but she has kind of a classic Hollywood look. I
Right.
don't know if you saw The Rocketeer, but she was in
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was a similar kind of vibe.
Yeah, I remember that movie, that Disney movie, right? With
Mhm.
like, the Boba Fett looking guy?
Yeah.
Apparently, she's the love interest in the new Top Gun that's coming out, Maverick.
Oh,
So
yes,
that's her
that's
next big film.
right.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about that, Eric, with, Kelly something, the other woman where they're just like, "Yeah, get her outta here.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah, we want
Jennifer
Jennifer
Connelly."
Connelly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kinda messed up. But actually, I think they're making her a character that they mention in the original Top Gun that you never see. So I think
Right.
that they are doing
Yep.
that.
Mhm.
But she's
Mhm.
great. I remember her from Requiem for a Dream, and I was just like, "Ooh, she's a good actor." She's got an
Oh,
icy
that's right.
stare to her, yeah. Oh, she's in the Marvel Universe. She's in the Hulk, I forgot.
And she, is also, the voice of Iron Man's, whatever it is, his,
Jarvis.
not Jarvis, she replaced Jarvis when he became
Oh,
Vision,
right.
if I'm
Right, right.
remembering these movies correctly.
Oh. I don't know. It's I don't think it probably doesn't help the flat earthers. Like, if I was a flat earther watching this movie, it would probably confirm my beliefs, be like, "I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it." Because the end, it is the city's kind of just this flat little city, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a maze. You see earlier in the movie, you see Kiefer Sutherland with this mouse or a rat in this maze, and it almost looks like that.
Mm, right. Okay. So yeah, is this like a they're not like taking over the whole world then, these aliens? Is it just like one city that they've kind of like sectioned off?
No, I think they took over the Earth, and they're using these, like, or, like, took some humans off of Earth so they can, like, kinda like a farm, if I had to guess. What do you think, Joe? Sorry.
Yeah, no. I think it is some kind of like, some installation in the furthest reaches of space where that these people are just abducted from Earth, I feel, and subjected to these weird experiments. That's what I got. And that's kind of the thing I like about this movie is you don't get any of those answers. You could kind of just imagine what exactly is going on here.
Right. God, I need to rewire my brain and just kind of look at every movie like that and just be like, you know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to know. Maybe that's the fun of it. Like just filling it in because every single movie nowadays, I'm like, well, why? Why is this guy doing this? Why is he the one? Why are these aliens here? Why are the aliens bald?
Joe, why is Kiefer breathing so heavily? Why?
Yeah, he's really hamming it up in this movie, man.
First the strangers come, and then they implant us and then they he's, like, breathing every, like, 3 words. It's like, "Alright, dude, like, take a breath, like, gather your thoughts. Do you need an inhaler?" Like,
All the questions you're talking about, though, I watched a little bit of the behind the scenes material, and these were all the questions that the studio heads were coming to the director and the writer with, and they were like, why? And
yeah.
some things they just felt were better left a mystery.
My favorite part of this movie, Joe, is and I'm like, "What?" Like, that when, like, Kiefer, like, implants all these memories in his mind, like, "I'm gonna
Mhm.
teach him over the course of, like, 40 years, like,
Mm.
everything
Yes.
he needs to know." So he's a suit like, so he creates all these memories of him, like my favorite part is him as, like, a snow cone guy, like, on the beach. Like, could you imagine, like, getting a snow cone and being like he's like, "They're gonna come for you, and when they do, you're gonna do this and this." He's like, "Cool, can I have a snow cone now?" It's like, "Yeah." I don't know, I
Yeah,
just thought that, like, that scene's the best, like, him as the snow cone guy, like
I love all that. And it actually, going back to the Matrix again, it kind of does remind me of when they can just kind of teach you kung fu and just, with a quick touch of a button, you know? It's, you know, for someone like me who is kind of a homebody, doesn't like to get off my couch, imagine if you could just be injected with something and, oh, now I have superpowers.
Yeah, dude, that really reminded me of The Matrix. But I the second I saw that dude, I was like, Kiefer Sutherland's his dad? That's the first thing I thought. I was like, no way. Like he forgot about his own dad? I don't know why that's the first thing I thought when I saw that, but
Well, you know, this movie does benefit from repeat viewings, and I really respect you guys just watching this and having to jump into a review. You know, you guys have my sympathies because I've seen this movie, you know, quite a few times, and I do think there's a lot to take in.
yeah, I definitely wanna watch it again. I really wanna watch the director's cut now that I've seen it just to see the differences, but
Mhm.
I was telling my dad about it because he loves The Matrix, and, you know, he's like, "I've never even heard of this movie." And I was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
know," and I was telling him about it, he's like, "Is it really similar?" I was like, "Honestly, like, the plot's not, but there are a couple points, like,
Mhm.
you basically do jack into your head, and then you're able to see things or learn things." Dude, seriously, within the first 10 minutes of that Kiefer Sutherland phone call scene, I was like, "Whoa, this is like
Very similar.
straight from the
Yeah.
Matrix." And then the way that the quote unquote strangers agents are kind of walking through and they say like Mr. Murdoch. I was like, "Oh, what's going on?"
Yeah, Neo's just such a cooler name than John. It's like, Neo, and it's like, John.
Yeah. Well, no, they had a lot of things going for it, but you're right, Joe. It is kind of like, do you want to see a movie that's a little bit more like film noir, or do you want to see a more kick-ass action kung fu movie with similar elements? So it's more of, yeah, quieter, darker, grittier, or in your face, flashy fighting.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's almost like Blade Runner and Total Recall. They're both Philip K. Dick movies, and
Oh,
one is a little bit more cerebral, and one is, you know, a kick-ass Schwarzenegger movie,
More
you know?
playful, yeah.
Oh, totally, totally. So it's kinda like that, you know? And for me, there's room for both. Like, I love all of those movies.
yeah. I mean, why the hell not? Why not see two movies that are kind of similar and that kind of came out the same year, and you can pick them apart from yourself? So I don't know. Good for
Mhm,
them. Good for them for trying something, trying something
mhm.
big. But
Yeah.
Joe, what did you think? Just really want to quick before we close out here. What did you think of Matrix Resurrections?
I actually really enjoyed it, and I've only watched it once, and I have been thinking about it, and I kinda wanna watch it again. I think there's a lot to chew on, and I think that I would rather that than a movie that I'm just like, "Hmm, that was pretty good," and I've forgotten about by the time I get to my car in the parking lot, you know? So, yeah, I thought it was interesting, and, yeah, I look forward to kinda dissecting it a little more. I think it deserves more than one viewing.
It absolutely does. I watched the first half again with my dad the other day, and immediately I'm liking things more, not liking things that I used to like. So it's definitely a movie worth watching, at least twice to really pick it
Mhm.
apart. So I think
Yeah.
probably the same for this movie.
Absolutely, and, you know, I think, this movie is a good reminder that, you know, box office numbers and Rotten Tomato scores really mean nothing when you're talking about a movie's legacy because, you know, as we're recording this, the new Matrix movie is very divisive, we'll say,
Yeah.
and, there does seem to be this weird obsession now with how much money a movie makes and, well, what are the critics saying? And when you look at Dark City, I mean, it didn't make any money and not many critics had anything to say about it, and it's still fantastic. So, yeah, I think we all should maybe just make up our own minds.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, dude, like, it feels like in 1998, like, people probably would've just been like, "Yeah, it's fine," and forgot about this movie, as opposed to, like, going on the internet and ripping it apart, shred by shred, being like, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah." Just I don't know, I just this is a kind of a newer sensation where people exactly what you were texting me, Joe, you're like, "Everything's either amazing or a complete train wreck." And it's like, that's not how the world works, like, things are good.
Well, yeah,
They're not great.
people see, like, a Matrix review, and it's like, "Oh, this looks kinda shitty." It's like, I'm not gonna watch it. It's got that bad reviews." And then that's what happens.
Well, I mean, like if you take what I just said about The Matrix Resurrections, you know, that I enjoyed it, it was interesting, I want to see it again. That's not as sexy a blog headline or a tweet as saying this is an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, that's going to get the clicks, that's going to get the engagement, you know.
Oh.
So that's why it happens.
What is wrong with, like, humans? Like, seriously, what the hell is wrong with this? I don't know. But Anyways, I'm really glad you recommended this movie, Joe. I enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say thanks, Joe, for recommending this one too, because I would have never heard of this movie, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and it was fun to revisit.
And we have another movie coming up with you in the next few weeks, Ed Wood, another Tim Burton movie, so that'll be fun to do.
Could be next week if we spin the wheel. Who knows?
Oh, well, Eric.
Want to spin the wheel? Want to spin the
Eric,
wheel?
you haven't
It's been a
spun the
while.
wheel in months. Yeah, is your arm okay?
I don't know, dude. I can flick the thing. Ready? Spinning. Okay. I'm thinking of ending things.
That's the movie?
That's the movie. I have no idea what it is. My neighbor told me that we should do this, and he was hyping it up like crazy.
I'm thinking of ending things. Joe, you ever heard of that one?
No, I thought Eric was going through some kind of crisis when he said
I'm thinking of ending things, Joe.
That's what he says, right? When he spins the wheel, he's like, I can't fucking handle this anymore,
I'm
guys.
done. I'm done.
I thought maybe he thought he was on mute, but he wasn't.
Thinking of ending things, guys.
Oh, man. I've never even heard of this. All right, so this is actually brand new. This came out in 2020, and it's on Netflix right now. That'll be easy.
Definitely. I'm very excited to watch this one.
Oh, it's got Meth Damon in it.
Matt Damon? What?
No, the Meth Damon from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad?
Yeah, Jesse Plemons. Anyways, well, Joe, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for starting the wheel in 2022 with us.
Absolutely, guys. Anytime.
Cool. Well, we will, we'll have you on for Ed Wood in the next few weeks, but we will see everybody next week with I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Woo!